Welcome back, everyone. Today's video is a full, calm, and honest review of the drama titled Kissing the Wrong Brother. This is not a fast recap, not a spoiler-filled chaos, but a smooth storytelling review that explains what this drama truly represents, why it emotionally works, and why so many viewers felt confused, uncomfortable, yet deeply connected to it. At first, the title alone creates misunderstanding. Many people assume the drama is bold or inappropriate, but once you actually watch it, you realize the story is far more psychological and emotional than sensational. The drama focuses on human mistakes, emotional attachment, and the cost of silence. The story begins quietly, without dramatic shock. We are introduced to a female lead who lives a structured but emotionally empty life. She is responsible, independent, and outwardly strong, yet internally she feels unseen. Her daily routine feels repetitive, and emotionally she is stuck between expectation and loneliness. Then enters the male character who seems to understand her without asking too many questions. Their connection does not start with romance, it starts with comfort. Conversations feel natural, silences feel safe, and slowly emotional dependence begins to grow. What the drama does beautifully is show how emotional intimacy can grow even before love is acknowledged. There are no dramatic confessions in the beginning, just shared moments, emotional presence, and unspoken understanding. As the story moves forward, the presence of the second brother becomes more important. The two brothers are connected by blood, but emotionally they live very different lives. One is reserved, carrying emotional weight and responsibility. The other is more open, expressive, and easier to emotionally connect with. The female lead does not fully understand this dynamic at first, and the drama does not rush to explain it either. Instead, it allows the audience to slowly notice small behavioral differences, subtle emotional shifts, and hidden tension. The moment that defines the title of the drama happens during emotional vulnerability. There is no manipulation. There is no intention to cross boundaries. It is a moment born out of confusion, comfort, and incomplete truth. The kiss is not portrayed as passion. It is portrayed as an emotional release, and that is why it feels heavy instead of romantic. Immediately after that moment, the tone of the drama changes. Silence becomes louder. Eye contact becomes uncomfortable. What once felt safe now feels uncertain. The female lead senses something is wrong even before she knows the truth. Her happiness turns into confusion, and that confusion slowly turns into emotional anxiety. When the truth begins to surface, the drama does not explode. There is no dramatic confrontation. Instead, there is distance, and that distance hurts more than words. One of the strongest elements of this drama is how realistically it portrays guilt. The male character does not try to justify himself. He does not play the victim. He carries guilt quietly, which makes his internal conflict more painful to watch. The female lead, on the other hand, goes through emotional self-blame. She questions her judgment, she questions her feelings, and most importantly, she questions whether emotional honesty existed at all. As episodes progress, relationships begin to fracture, trust weakens, communication fails, and the drama shows how silence, even when well-intentioned, can cause irreversible damage. Family pressure also plays a major role. The brothers' relationship is tested not because of jealousy, but because of responsibility and regret. This is not a story of rivalry. It is a story of emotional consequences. Visually, the drama supports its emotional tone perfectly. Soft lighting during emotional connection, colder tones during realization, and quiet background music that never distracts from the scene. The pacing of the drama is slow, but intentional. It gives the audience time to sit with discomfort, just like the characters do. There is no rush toward resolution. As the story reaches its later half, characters begin to confront their truths, not loudly, not dramatically, but honestly. Apologies are not immediate. Forgiveness is not guaranteed. The drama makes it clear that some emotional wounds do not heal instantly, and some mistakes stay with us, even after we grow. The ending of the drama is realistic. It does not try to please everyone. It focuses on emotional closure rather than perfect happiness. What makes Kissing the Wrong Brother memorable is not the title moment, but everything that comes after it. The reflection, the regret, and the emotional maturity it demands from both characters and viewers. This drama is not about scandal. It is about how fragile emotional boundaries can be and how important honesty truly is. If you enjoy slow burn emotional stories that respect realism, this drama leaves a lasting impression. It does not entertain loudly. It stays with you quietly, and that is what makes it powerful. As the story moves beyond its emotional midpoint, the drama begins to slow down even more, not because nothing is happening, but because everything happening now carries weight. Every look, every pause, and every unfinished sentence feels intentional. The female lead is no longer emotionally unaware. She begins to sense the truth even before it is fully revealed to her. Her expressions change, her tone becomes careful, and the comfort she once felt starts to disappear. What once felt safe now feels fragile. When the truth finally comes closer to the surface, it is not delivered in a dramatic reveal. There is no sudden explosion of emotions. Instead, it arrives quietly, almost cruelly, forcing the characters to sit with it rather than react to it. This is where the drama truly shows its strength. It does not rush forgiveness. It does not try to justify mistakes. It allows discomfort to exist. The female lead's reaction is not anger at first. It is disbelief, then silence, and then a deep emotional withdrawal. She begins to question every moment she trusted, every conversation she believed was honest, and every feeling she allowed herself to have. What hurts her the most is not the mistake itself, but the absence of truth when it mattered most. The drama makes it very clear that love without honesty is incomplete, no matter how genuine it feels. The male characters also go through their own internal struggles. One is consumed by guilt, not knowing how to fix something that cannot be undone. The other is caught between responsibility and emotional truth, realizing that silence has cost everyone more than words ever could. Their relationship as brothers becomes strained, not because of rivalry, but because of regret. Neither of them wanted this outcome, yet both must live with it. As the episodes progress, the drama focuses less on romance and more on emotional accountability. Characters begin to confront their actions, not to defend themselves, but to understand the damage caused. The female lead takes space, and that distance is portrayed with realism. She does not immediately forgive. She does not immediately move on. She takes time, and the drama respects that. There are moments where nothing is said for long periods, and those moments feel heavy rather than empty. The background music remains subtle, allowing silence to speak louder than dialogue. Side characters also play a meaningful role during this phase of the story. Friends offer support without pushing decisions. Family members reveal how deeply personal choices can affect collective harmony. The pacing remains slow, but emotionally intense. This is not a drama meant to be binge-watched for excitement. It is meant to be absorbed. As the story moves closer to its conclusion, emotional clarity begins to form. Not happiness, not resolution, but understanding. Characters start to accept that some mistakes change relationships forever, and some connections cannot return to what they once were. The female lead grows stronger, not by forgetting the pain, but by learning from it. She becomes more aware of her emotional boundaries and the value of truth. The final episodes do not try to create a perfect ending. They focus on emotional realism. Some relationships heal partially, some remain distant, and some transform into something entirely different. The drama ends with a sense of quiet acceptance. There's no dramatic closure, no exaggerated happiness, just the understanding that life continues, shaped by the choices we make and the truths we avoid. What makes Kissing the Wrong Brother stand out is its honesty. It does not glamorize mistakes. It does not excuse silence, and it does not promise perfect outcomes. Instead, it reminds viewers that emotional responsibility matters just as much as emotional connection, that love alone is not enough if honesty is missing, and that growth often comes through discomfort rather than joy. This drama leaves viewers with a lingering feeling, not because of what happened, but because of how realistically it was portrayed. It stays with you long after the final episode, quietly asking you to reflect on trust, communication, and emotional courage. And that is what makes the story unforgettable. After everything that has already happened, the story does not rush toward resolution. Instead, it slows down even further, allowing emotions to settle and consequences to take shape naturally. The characters are no longer reacting from confusion, but from awareness, and that shift changes everything. The female lead begins a new emotional phase. She is quieter, more observant, and far more guarded than before. Her pain is no longer visible on the surface, but it exists in every choice she makes. She speaks less, trusts slowly, and keeps emotional distance even when moments feel familiar. This stage of the drama is deeply introspective. There are many scenes where characters are alone, not to show loneliness, but to show reflection. The drama emphasizes that healing often happens in silence, not in conversation. The male character who carries the weight of guilt does not seek forgiveness immediately. Instead, he begins to accept responsibility without expectation. He understands that apologies do not erase damage and that some emotions need time rather than explanation. This emotional maturity is one of the strongest points of the drama. It does not romanticize suffering. It treats emotional pain as something that must be acknowledged, not avoided. As time passes in the story, daily life continues. Work routines return, social interactions resume, and on the surface, everything seems normal. But underneath, relationships have changed permanently. The female lead begins to redefine herself. She no longer sees herself only through emotional attachment. She focuses on independence, self-respect, and emotional clarity. This transformation is subtle but powerful. There are moments when past memories resurface unexpectedly. A familiar place, a shared habit, or a casual sentence brings everything back. The drama handles these moments gently, without forcing emotional breakdowns. The brothers' relationship continues to evolve. There is no dramatic reconciliation, but there is mutual understanding. They accept that their bond has been tested and altered, and that rebuilding trust takes patience. What stands out in this part of the story is how realistically time is portrayed. Emotions do not resolve overnight. Distance does not disappear quickly. Healing is uneven, slow, and deeply personal. The drama also explores forgiveness from a mature perspective. Forgiveness is not shown as forgetting, it is shown as acceptance of reality and release of emotional burden. The female lead eventually reaches a point where anger no longer controls her decisions. She does not excuse what happened, but she stops allowing it to define her future. This moment is quiet, internal, and deeply human. The male character learns to live with the consequences of his choices. He grows emotionally, not by winning love back, but by becoming more honest with himself. As the story approaches its final stretch, the tone becomes calmer. There is less tension, but more emotional depth. The drama makes a bold choice by not forcing a perfect ending. It respects the audience enough to understand that real life rarely offers neat conclusions. In the closing moments, the characters move forward separately, yet stronger. They carry their experiences with them, not as wounds, but as lessons. The final message of the drama becomes clear without being spoken aloud. Truth matters, timing matters, and emotional courage matters most of all. Kissing the Wrong Brother ultimately tells a story about growth through discomfort. It shows that emotional mistakes do not define who we are, but how we respond to them does. This is not a drama that leaves you excited, it leaves you thoughtful, and that is exactly what makes it special. As the story continues forward, the drama shifts into a phase where emotions are no longer raw, but deeply settled. The chaos has passed, yet its echo remains in every interaction. Nothing feels accidental anymore. Every word spoken now carries intention, and every silence carries meaning. The female lead begins to rebuild her emotional world piece by piece. She no longer searches for validation or reassurance from others. Instead, she listens to herself. This change is not dramatic, but it is powerful. Her posture, her tone, and her decisions all reflect someone who has learned the cost of emotional blindness. There are moments where she almost returns to old habits, moments where familiarity feels tempting, but the drama shows restraint. It shows her choosing clarity over comfort, even when that choice feels lonely. The male character who once remained silent now understands the weight of delayed truth. He becomes more open in general life, even when it is uncomfortable. This growth does not win him sympathy immediately, and the drama does not try to force it. Instead, it presents growth as something that exists independently of reward. What stands out strongly in this phase is emotional accountability. No one is trying to rewrite the past. No one is trying to minimize what happened. Each character accepts their role in the outcome, and that acceptance becomes the foundation of maturity. Time continues to pass in the story. Seasons change, routines shift, and life slowly moves forward. The drama uses this passage of time to show how emotional wounds evolve. Some fade into scars, some remain sensitive, and some transform into wisdom. The relationship between the brothers settles into a quieter understanding. There is no perfect repair, but there is respect. They no longer avoid the past, nor do they dwell in it. They coexist with what happened, acknowledging that not. The female lead encounters moments of unexpected peace. Simple experiences begin to feel meaningful again. The drama shows that healing is not a single moment of realization, but a collection of small, ordinary days. There are scenes where she smiles without thinking, moments where she feels present rather than guarded. These moments are brief, but they matter. They show progress without exaggeration. The male character also learns to redefine what connection means. He no longer seeks emotional closeness as validation. Instead, he focuses on honesty, even when it leads to distance. This internal shift marks real growth. As the story moves deeper into its final emotional stretch, the drama becomes reflective rather than tense. It asks the audience to look inward rather than anticipate outcomes. The focus is no longer on what will happen next, but on what has already changed. One of the most impactful aspects of this part of the drama is its respect for boundaries. Characters no longer cross emotional lines unconsciously. They pause, they think, and they choose carefully. The female lead eventually reaches a point where she can look back without pain controlling her emotions. She does not romanticize the past, nor does she reject it. She accepts it as part of her story. This acceptance does not mean reconciliation in the traditional sense. It means release. Release from guilt, resentment, and unanswered questions. The drama subtly shows that closure does not always come from conversation. Sometimes it comes from understanding, and sometimes from silence. As the narrative approaches its conclusion, the atmosphere feels calm but heavy with meaning. There is no rush to tie every thread neatly. The story trusts the audience to understand what remains unsaid. The final moments focus on forward motion, not dramatic movement, but emotional progress. Characters step into their futures with awareness rather than hope. The drama ends this phase by reinforcing its central message without stating it directly, that emotional honesty is not optional, that timing can change everything, and that growth often begins where comfort ends. Kissing the Wrong Brother continues to stand out not because of its title, but because of its restraint. It chooses realism over fantasy and reflection over excitement. This is a story that does not seek to entertain loudly. It stays with the viewer quietly, long after the screen goes dark. As the story moves further ahead, the emotional weight does not disappear, but it becomes quieter, more settled, and more controlled. The characters are no longer driven by reaction. They are guided by understanding. The female lead now lives with a sense of emotional awareness that she did not have before. She understands her own boundaries more clearly. She knows what kind of honesty she needs and what kind of silence she will no longer accept. This awareness does not make her cold, it makes her steady. Her interactions with others change subtly. She listens more carefully. She speaks more intentionally. She no longer rushes into emotional closeness. The drama presents this not as emotional damage, but as emotional growth. There are moments when the past tries to resurface. Old feelings, unfinished thoughts, and shared memories appear unexpectedly. But instead of overwhelming her, these moments now feel distant, like echoes rather than open wounds. The male character continues to evolve in a quiet way. He no longer tries to explain himself unnecessarily. He understands that explanations can sometimes feel like excuses. Instead, he focuses on consistency, on being truthful in every small interaction, even when it brings no immediate comfort. This part of the drama strongly emphasizes internal change over external resolution. No grand gestures are made, no dramatic reunions are forced. The story respects emotional realism above all else. The brothers' dynamic becomes calmer but more distant. They interact with respect, but with an unspoken understanding that things are different now. The drama does not frame this distance as failure, it frames it as consequence. Time continues to move forward naturally. Life does not pause for emotional recovery. Careers progress, responsibilities increase, and daily routines continue. The drama uses this to show that healing often happens alongside life, not apart from it. The female lead begins to experience moments of genuine peace, not happiness in a dramatic sense, but contentment. She becomes comfortable being alone with her thoughts. This is an important shift, showing that emotional independence has taken root. There is a noticeable change in how she views relationships. She no longer idealizes emotional connection. She values clarity, mutual respect, and honesty above intensity. This perspective reshapes how she approaches people in her life. The male character also reaches a point of emotional acceptance. He understands that not every mistake can be repaired in the way we hope. Some lessons stay with us, shaping future decisions rather than correcting past ones. The drama explores regret in a mature way. Regret is not portrayed as self-punishment, but as awareness. It becomes a guide rather than a weight. As the story progresses, conversations become shorter but more meaningful. Characters say less but mean more. This restraint adds depth to every interaction. There are scenes where characters simply exist in the same space without speaking. These moments feel heavy but honest. They reflect the reality that not everything needs to be resolved through dialogue. The female lead eventually reaches a point where she can acknowledge the past without emotional turbulence. She does not seek closure from others anymore. She finds it within herself. This internal closure is one of the most powerful elements of the drama. It shows that emotional freedom often comes from acceptance, not answers. The atmosphere of the drama becomes increasingly calm. Tension is replaced by reflection, uncertainty is replaced by clarity. As the narrative moves toward its later stages, the focus shifts fully toward personal growth. The drama asks the viewer to consider how emotional experiences shape identity. There is no attempt to return things to how they were. The story respects change. It acknowledges that some transformations are permanent, and that permanence is not always tragic. The final moments of this part emphasize forward motion, not dramatic steps, but steady ones. The characters move on with awareness, not denial. Kissing the Wrong Brother continues to deepen its message that emotional mistakes are part of being human, that silence has consequences, and that growth often begins only after discomfort is fully faced. This phase of the story reinforces why the drama resonates so strongly with its audience. It mirrors real emotional journeys rather than fictional resolutions. It does not aim to satisfy expectations, it aims to reflect reality, and in doing so, it becomes quietly powerful. As the story reaches its final phase, everything feels quieter, slower, and more intentional. There is no urgency left, no emotional chaos, only clarity shaped by experience. The drama no longer focuses on what went wrong, but on what remains after everything has been understood. The female lead stands at a point of emotional balance. She is no longer defined by confusion, regret, or emotional attachment. She carries her past with awareness rather than pain. This transformation does not come from external reassurance, but from internal acceptance. She understands now that emotional honesty is not something to compromise for comfort. She recognizes the signs she once ignored, and most importantly, she forgives herself for trusting when she did not know the full truth. The male character reaches his own quiet conclusion. He no longer waits for redemption. He no longer expects outcomes to change. Instead, he focuses on living with integrity, knowing that growth is sometimes invisible and unrewarded. There is a moment of emotional recognition between them. Not a reunion, not a confession, but a shared understanding. They see each other clearly for the first time, without illusion or expectation. This moment is subtle, almost silent, but it carries more weight than any dramatic scene earlier in the story. It represents acceptance rather than reconciliation. The brothers' relationship settles into a form that is honest, even if it is imperfect. They acknowledge what happened without revisiting blame. Their bond changes, but it does not break. It matures. As the story moves toward its conclusion, everyday life continues to unfold. The drama shows that endings are rarely marked by grand moments. They are marked by small decisions, quiet routines, and personal resolve. The female lead begins to step into her future with confidence, not because everything is resolved, but because she understands herself better. She no longer fears emotional vulnerability, but she respects its boundaries. There is no dramatic declaration of happiness. There is peace, and peace in this story feels earned. The male character watches life move forward without trying to interfere. He accepts that some connections change form rather than disappear. This acceptance is his closure. The final scenes are calm, reflective, and grounded. They do not try to force emotion. They allow the audience to sit with everything that has happened. The drama ends by reinforcing its message without stating it directly, that love without honesty creates confusion, that silence can be more damaging than truth, and that emotional growth often comes at the cost of comfort. Kissing the Wrong Brother closes not with excitement, but with understanding. It respects its audience by trusting them to interpret its quiet ending. This is not a story about a mistake. It is a story about what follows a mistake, about responsibility, awareness, and maturity. The final feeling the drama leaves behind is not sadness, but reflection. It asks the viewer to think about emotional choices, communication, and courage. And in doing so, it becomes a story that stays long after the screen fades to black. Even after the main story concludes, there is so much to reflect on in Kissing the Wrong Brother. The drama leaves the audience with lingering thoughts about choices, consequences, and emotional awareness. It encourages viewers to examine how we respond to mistakes, not only in romantic situations, but in friendships, family, and personal life. One of the most compelling aspects is how the characters continue to live with consequences. They are not suddenly rewarded for good behavior, nor punished unfairly. Life moves on naturally, and the drama mirrors that reality. This kind of storytelling is rare in modern dramas, which often seek instant resolution or dramatic closure. The female lead's growth is subtle but deep. Her emotional journey teaches that strength is not only measured by bold actions, but also by the courage to reflect, forgive, and set boundaries. She learns to identify what she can control and what she cannot, and in doing so, she gains peace without needing validation from others. Similarly, the male characters grow in ways that are realistic rather than performative. They learn that accountability is not always about apology. Sometimes it is about change, self-awareness, and living with integrity. The drama shows this growth slowly in gestures, decisions, and quiet moments, rather than loud declarations. The drama also emphasizes the importance of timing and perspective. Had the characters acted differently or spoken earlier, events might have changed, but the story does not dwell on regret for its own sake. Instead, it teaches the audience that reflection and understanding are more important than wishing things were different. Family dynamics play a critical role throughout the extended narrative. The brothers' interactions evolve from tension to quiet acknowledgement. Conflict is replaced with acceptance, showing that relationships can change form while still retaining meaning. The drama presents this transformation without melodrama, making it emotionally resonant. Visual storytelling remains subtle but effective. Scenes are framed to highlight emotional isolation, reflection, and connection. The use of lighting, shadow, and environment supports the internal states of the characters. Rain, mirrors, and open spaces are used sparingly but symbolically, reinforcing moments of self-awareness and emotional realization. The soundtrack complements the visuals perfectly. Soft, minimalistic music allows silence to carry weight, making moments of contemplation and tension feel authentic rather than scripted. Throughout the drama, humor is used very selectively. It is never at the expense of emotional gravity. Brief, light moments appear as relief, reminding viewers that life contains both challenge and levity simultaneously. Beyond the main plot, side characters provide perspective on growth and consequence. Friends, colleagues, and extended family act as mirrors for the protagonist's choices, offering insight into how personal actions affect others. These characters are not there to entertain, but to enrich the story, and they succeed in doing so. The drama's title, while seemingly provocative, is never the focus of scandal. It becomes clear to viewers that it is symbolic of misunderstanding, emotional mistakes, and the fragility of trust. By the end, the title feels almost poetic, reflecting the weight of choices rather than any sensational act. A central lesson of this extended reflection is that emotional responsibility is ongoing. Mistakes may not vanish instantly, but continued awareness, honesty, and self-respect allow individuals to grow and move forward. The drama also highlights the importance of communication. The slow pacing shows how small misunderstandings, left unspoken, can grow into long-lasting consequences. This mirrors real-life relationships, making the story relatable on a universal level. The drama invites viewers to think about forgiveness in a nuanced way. Forgiveness is not about erasing the past, it's about understanding it, learning from it, and choosing how to live moving forward. This nuanced perspective sets the drama apart from simpler narratives that offer instant closure. The story also emphasizes the significance of self-reflection. The female lead's moments alone, without dialogue or action, are as important as the scenes with confrontation. They show that introspection is vital for personal growth, and that understanding oneself is the foundation for healthy relationships. Moreover, the drama demonstrates that emotional growth often occurs alongside pain rather than after it. The characters are not suddenly healed. They continue to navigate life with awareness, learning slowly and applying lessons day by day. By the conclusion of this extended analysis, it is clear why this drama resonates so deeply with audiences. It is not about sensational moments or dramatic twists. It's about realism, emotional depth, and thoughtful storytelling. This extended reflection allows the story to stay with the audience even beyond the screen time. Viewers are invited to consider their own emotional patterns, the role of honesty, and the consequences of silence in their own lives. The beauty of this drama is that it doesn't pretend that closure is perfect. Instead, it respects the messy, ongoing, and evolving nature of human relationships. Even after the final credits, the lessons linger. They are subtle, introspective, and quietly powerful. And that is exactly what makes Kissing the Wrong Brother a memorable and meaningful story. Beyond the main story and its resolution, Kissing the Wrong Brother offers a rich landscape for reflection on human behavior, choices, and emotional growth. The drama emphasizes that emotional mistakes are not just plot devices. They are opportunities for the audience to understand the complexity of relationships. The female lead's journey is particularly insightful. She shows that strength is not always about bold actions or loud declarations. True strength comes from reflection, acceptance, and the courage to move forward even when the outcome is uncertain. Her growth is quiet, subtle, and internal, yet profoundly impactful. It teaches viewers that emotional resilience is often invisible but essential. The male characters similarly evolve in ways that feel authentic and earned. One brother learns to carry responsibility without blame, understanding that guilt does not automatically require absolution. The other learns to communicate honestly and recognize the long-term effects of delayed truths. These arcs are not exaggerated. They reflect the slow, sometimes painful process of maturing emotionally. The drama's pacing reinforces this realism. Scenes are deliberately slow, allowing the audience to process subtle emotional shifts alongside the characters. Small gestures, a lingering glance, a thoughtful pause, a hesitant smile, carry more meaning than dialogue-heavy confrontations. This careful pacing ensures that every moment feels purposeful and emotionally resonant. Symbolism throughout the drama is understated but effective. Mirrors are used to reflect self-awareness and identity confusion. Rain appears during moments of regret, cleansing, and reflection, highlighting emotional transitions without overt explanation. These visual cues deepen the storytelling without drawing attention away from character development. Even minor characters contribute to the thematic depth. Friends, colleagues, and family members are not just fillers. They act as emotional mirrors, showing the protagonist the effects of their choices. These interactions illustrate that personal mistakes ripple outward, affecting more than just those directly involved. The drama also demonstrates the importance of timing in emotional development. Had certain truths been revealed earlier, misunderstandings might have been avoided. However, by delaying revelation, the story explores the weight of suspense, trust, and the consequences of incomplete communication. It reminds the audience that in real life, timing often shapes outcomes more than intention. Humor is sparingly used, providing brief relief without undercutting the serious emotional tone. These moments of lightness make the heavy scenes feel even more genuine, highlighting that life contains both pain and joy simultaneously. Music and sound design complement the narrative rather than dominate it. Soft, ambient tracks underline tension and reflection, while silence carries emotional weight in pivotal moments. The subtlety allows viewers to engage more deeply with the characters' inner worlds. The title, while provocative at first glance, ultimately serves as a metaphor for misjudgment, misunderstanding, and unintended consequences. By the end of the drama, the title feels reflective of emotional complexity rather than sensationalism, giving the audience a deeper appreciation for the story's maturity. The story teaches the audience that personal growth is ongoing. Mistakes do not disappear with resolution, but continued awareness, honesty, and self-reflection help characters and viewers navigate life more consciously. Closure in this drama is unconventional. It is not about dramatic confessions or reconciliations, but about internal understanding. The female lead finds closure by accepting her past decisions and understanding her own boundaries. The male characters achieve closure by taking responsibility and committing to emotional honesty, even when it does not bring immediate comfort or resolution. The brothers' dynamic shows that relationships can transform rather than collapse. Conflict gives way to respect, understanding, and emotional maturity. This nuanced portrayal reinforces that human connections are rarely static and often require patience and reflection to maintain. Even after the story's formal ending, the drama encourages viewers to reflect on their own experiences. It asks questions about trust, communication, responsibility, and forgiveness without explicitly providing answers. This open-ended reflection makes the narrative more enduring and relatable. The drama emphasizes that personal growth is often gradual. Characters do not change overnight. They live with their mistakes, learn from them, and slowly integrate those lessons into their daily lives. This portrayal of realistic progression is what makes the drama resonate beyond entertainment. The subtle handling of emotional tension, internal conflict, and consequences distinguishes Kissing the Wrong Brother from other contemporary dramas. It is not about shock value or sensationalism. It's about human vulnerability, accountability, and the slow evolution of understanding. Finally, the overarching message is clear. Honesty, self-awareness, and emotional courage matter more than momentary comfort. Mistakes happen, misunderstandings occur, and regret exists, but the way we process these experiences shapes who we become. Even after the final credits, the audience is left reflecting on how truth, timing, and emotional responsibility influence relationships. This reflection ensures that the drama stays in the mind long after the screen goes dark, making it not only a story about a mistake, but a story about learning, growth, and resilience. Kissing the Wrong Brother reminds us that life is rarely perfect, relationships are rarely simple, and emotional maturity requires time, patience, and reflection. The story lingers quietly, asking viewers to consider their own choices and the importance of honesty in every connection. Even beyond the story's resolution, Kissing the Wrong Brother continues to offer layers of insight into human emotion, personal growth, and the consequences of misunderstanding. The drama emphasizes that actions, even unintentional ones, ripple outward, influencing not just immediate relationships, but also the way the characters see themselves and their place in the world. One of the most compelling aspects of this extended reflection is the exploration of emotional boundaries. The female lead gradually understands that her trust is valuable, that emotional intimacy is not unconditional, and that self-respect must coexist with vulnerability. Her journey shows that maturity is often silent, internal, and measured, and that growth does not need dramatic confirmation to be real. The male characters evolve in parallel, but their arcs are nuanced and different. One brother learns that guilt is not a punishment, but a teacher, shaping his actions with patience and reflection rather than desperation. The other recognizes that honesty, even when delayed, must become habitual, showing that integrity is a slow and deliberate practice. The drama's attention to pacing reinforces these lessons. Scenes linger on subtle gestures, unspoken glances, and quiet moments of reflection. Silence is employed strategically, emphasizing that internal experience often communicates more than dialogue. Every hesitation, pause, or careful step forward carries meaning and invites the audience to feel alongside the characters. Symbolism continues to enrich the narrative. Mirrors reflect self-examination and duality of identity. Natural elements like rain or wind mirror internal conflict, cleansing, or the emotional turbulence of a character's journey. These symbolic cues are subtle, never distracting, but they enhance the overall narrative sophistication. Secondary characters are instrumental in amplifying thematic depth. They are not merely plot devices, but emotional foils, demonstrating how individual choices affect broader networks of relationships. Through their presence, the audience is reminded that personal responsibility extends beyond the self. Timing emerges as a recurring motif throughout this extended reflection. The consequences of delayed truth, miscommunication, and emotional hesitation demonstrate how life rarely aligns with our expectations. The drama invites the viewer to ponder the delicate balance between honesty and tact, and the consequences of misjudging that balance. Even humor, sparingly introduced, reinforces realism. Moments of levity highlight the human capacity for warmth and resilience amidst tension, providing relief without undermining the emotional stakes. Sound and score remain understated but effective. Ambient tones, minimalistic melodies, and natural soundscapes support rather than overshadow the drama's introspective quality. Silence itself becomes an instrument, giving weight to reflection and unresolved emotion. The provocative title gradually transforms from a misleading hook to a nuanced metaphor. It signifies the fragility of trust, the impact of emotional mistakes, and the complexity of human relationships. By the story's conclusion, the audience understands the title not as sensationalism, but as a symbolic anchor for the narrative's exploration of misunderstanding and regret. A crucial takeaway from this extended analysis is the drama's emphasis on ongoing personal development. Mistakes do not vanish with resolution, but awareness, introspection, and intentional action allow the characters and viewers to navigate life more consciously. Closure, as depicted here, is unconventional, yet deeply realistic. It does not depend on dramatic reconciliation or perfunctory apologies. Instead, closure emerges from internal acknowledgement, reflective understanding, and conscious emotional decision-making. The female lead's moments alone, where no dialogue occurs, are perhaps the most telling. They communicate growth, self-awareness, and the ability to move forward without relying on external validation. Such scenes reinforce the drama's message that self-reflection is critical to emotional maturity. Similarly, the male character's quiet realizations highlight that integrity and personal responsibility are ongoing processes, not instantaneous outcomes. Their continued development reinforces the story's commitment to realism and emotional authenticity. The drama also examines the transformative potential of regret. Regret is shown not as punishment, but as an opportunity for reflection, learning, and growth. By presenting regret this way, the story encourages the audience to consider their own emotional habits and patterns. Interactions with family and friends further reinforce this thematic richness. Relationships are depicted as dynamic and evolving, showing that understanding, patience, and honesty are necessary for sustaining bonds. Even the smallest details, gestures, expressions, or brief interactions carry emotional significance. The audience is invited to notice these subtleties, reflecting on how minor actions often have major consequences in real life. Ultimately, the drama extends beyond entertainment. It encourages introspection, self-awareness, and emotional accountability. It illustrates that life is rarely neat, relationships are rarely simple, and emotional maturity requires time, patience, and deliberate effort. Kissing the Wrong Brother leaves a lasting impression, not because of dramatic moments, but because it portrays human emotion with depth, honesty, and realism. It invites viewers to sit quietly with the consequences of actions, to reflect on trust and forgiveness, and to recognize that growth often emerges from discomfort rather than comfort. Even after the screen goes dark, the story continues to resonate. It encourages the audience to question their own emotional decisions, to value honesty, and to respect boundaries in their personal relationships. This is why it is remembered long after the final credits, not for spectacle, but for its thoughtful portrayal of real emotional experiences. Beyond everything that has unfolded in the drama, Kissing the Wrong Brother invites viewers to explore the psychological dimensions of its characters. It shows how mistakes, miscommunication, and emotional hesitation shape human behavior over time. The drama emphasizes that emotions are not simple. They are layered, complex, and often contradictory. The female lead's journey is a study in self-awareness. She learns that vulnerability is not weakness, but that it must be balanced with caution and honesty. Her growth demonstrates that emotional intelligence is cultivated through reflection, not impulse. She begins to understand the difference between fleeting desire, comfort, and meaningful connection, and this awareness shapes all her decisions moving forward. The male character's development is equally compelling. One brother learns to live with guilt without being consumed by it. He understands that accountability is ongoing, that personal integrity matters more than external validation, and that actions have lasting consequences. The other brother, initially more emotionally expressive, learns restraint, patience, and the importance of timing in revealing the truth. Together, these arcs create a balanced study of human emotion and the consequences of ethical and emotional choices. The drama's pacing enhances this psychological depth. It does not rush emotional realizations. Instead, it allows the audience to experience every hesitation, misstep, and reflective pause alongside the characters. Silence is a recurring motif, representing both internal struggle and the unspoken truths that shape relationships. Symbolism enriches the narrative further. Mirrors often reflect internal questioning and duality of identity. Rain, clouds, and muted lighting symbolize reflection, regret, or cleansing of emotions. These visual cues are understated, but add significant depth to the viewer's understanding of emotional states. Even secondary characters contribute meaningfully to the story. They are not mere props. They are reflections, reminders, and sometimes catalysts for the protagonist's growth. Through these interactions, the audience sees how personal choices reverberate beyond the immediate sphere, affecting friendships, family, and social dynamics. Timing and communication emerge as crucial themes. The delayed revelations and hesitant confessions illustrate that honesty, while necessary, must be coupled with sensitivity to context and timing. This lesson resonates universally, reminding viewers of the delicate balance required in emotional interactions. The drama also explores the nature of regret and forgiveness. Regret is not framed as self-punishment, but as an opportunity for reflection and growth. Forgiveness is shown not as erasure of past mistakes, but as understanding, acceptance, and conscious emotional release. This nuanced treatment sets the drama apart from more conventional narratives that rely on instant resolutions or forced reconciliations. Even humor, when present, is subtle and deliberate. It provides relief without diminishing the emotional gravity of the story. Moments of lightness underscore the human capacity for resilience amidst emotional challenges. The soundtrack complements the psychological and emotional exploration. Minimalist scores and ambient tones enhance introspection, while carefully timed silence magnifies internal tension. The absence of melodramatic music ensures viewers remain connected to the characters' authentic emotional journeys. The title, initially misleading, gradually becomes a symbol of the story's core themes. It reflects misunderstanding, unintended emotional consequences, and the fragility of trust. By the end, viewers recognize that the wrong brother is not a literal accusation, but a representation of human error, complexity, and moral challenge. Extended reflection shows that personal growth is continuous. Mistakes, miscommunication, and emotional hesitation do not disappear with resolution. They require ongoing awareness, honesty, and self-reflection to transform into learning and wisdom. Closure is portrayed as internal rather than external. The female lead's internal acknowledgement of her emotions allows her to move forward. The male character's acceptance of consequences demonstrates that accountability is ongoing and not dependent on external forgiveness or reconciliation. The drama's lasting impact lies in its realistic portrayal of growth. It does not rely on dramatic peaks or sensationalism. Instead, it draws attention to the quiet, persistent effort required to navigate relationships, trust, and emotional responsibility. Even after the narrative concludes, viewers are invited to contemplate their own choices. It raises questions about honesty, timing, forgiveness, and the importance of boundaries in all types of relationships. This reflective engagement ensures that the story stays in the audience's mind long after viewing. Ultimately, Kissing the Wrong Brother is more than a story about a mistake. It is a study in human psychology, emotional accountability, and the transformative power of reflection. It demonstrates that growth is a gradual, ongoing process that requires courage, patience, and honesty. The drama reminds viewers that relationships are complex, consequences are real, and emotional awareness is invaluable. It leaves a lasting impression not through spectacle, but through depth, realism, and the timeless lessons embedded in the characters' journeys. Even after the story reaches its conclusion, the drama leaves a profound space for reflection. Kissing the Wrong Brother is not merely about the events that transpire, but about the ongoing consequences, the moral decisions, and the lessons that arise from emotional choices. It reminds viewers that every action, whether intentional or accidental, carries weight far beyond the immediate moment. The female lead's development continues to resonate deeply. Her journey demonstrates that growth is not always visible. It is internal, subtle, and cumulative. She learns to trust her own judgment, to respect her boundaries, and to understand that forgiveness for herself or others is not about forgetting, but about clarity and emotional freedom. This nuanced portrayal gives viewers insight into the emotional complexities of navigating life and relationships. The male character's evolution is equally instructive. They show that accountability is more than apology. It is about self-awareness, consistent honesty, and the ongoing work of aligning actions with values. They illustrate that personal responsibility is rarely dramatic, but always impactful, shaping both their own futures and the relationships around them. Timing, communication, and intention are central themes in this extended reflection. The story highlights how delays in honesty, hesitation in action, and misjudged words can amplify misunderstandings. By portraying the consequences realistically, the drama encourages viewers to reflect on their own interactions, the importance of speaking truthfully, and the subtle ways that decisions affect others emotionally. Humor and lightness appear sparingly, offering brief relief without undermining the story's gravity. These moments underscore the human capacity for resilience, even when life feels heavy or uncertain. They remind viewers that growth and emotional maturity are not incompatible with levity. The soundtrack, minimalistic and thoughtful, supports the drama's reflective tone. Ambient sounds, naturalistic tones, and strategic silence enhance the weight of internal conflict and personal growth. The absence of exaggerated music reinforces the realism of emotional experience, making each quiet moment feel significant. Symbolism remains a powerful tool. Mirrors reflect introspection and self-examination. Rain and natural elements mirror emotional turbulence, cleansing, or transformation. These visual metaphors deepen the audience's understanding of the characters' internal journeys without overt exposition. Even the supporting cast adds to thematic richness. Friends, family, and colleagues serve as mirrors and catalysts, showing the repercussions of choices and the ripple effect of emotional behavior. They help the audience see that personal mistakes rarely exist in isolation. They influence everyone connected to the characters. The drama's title, once provocative, transforms into a lens through which viewers understand the story's emotional depth. It becomes symbolic of misjudgments, misunderstanding, and unintended consequences. By the end, the title reflects the complexity and nuance of human relationships rather than sensationalism. One of the most important lessons is that personal growth is continuous. Emotional mistakes do not vanish with resolution. They require ongoing reflection, honesty, and self-awareness to transform into wisdom. The characters model this growth in ways that are realistic, subtle, and emotionally resonant. Closure is depicted as internal and ongoing. It is not reliant on reconciliation, confession, or resolution. Instead, the drama emphasizes personal understanding and acceptance. The female lead achieves closure by understanding her own emotions. The male characters achieve closure by accepting the consequences of their actions and committing to truthful living, even when it's difficult. The drama encourages viewers to reflect on their own lives. It asks questions about honesty, timing, boundaries, forgiveness, and personal responsibility. This reflection ensures that the story stays with the audience long after the credits roll, leaving an imprint that is thoughtful and enduring. Even the smallest gestures and moments, pauses, glances, or unspoken interactions carry profound meaning. The story teaches that subtlety, patience, and careful consideration are often more impactful than dramatic or impulsive behavior. Ultimately, Kissing the Wrong Brother is not only a story about mistakes, it is a study of emotional consequences, human accountability, and personal transformation. It demonstrates that life is rarely perfect, relationships are rarely straightforward, and growth requires time, courage, and reflection. The drama leaves viewers with a lingering sense of awareness. It is a quiet invitation to examine our own decisions, to value honesty, and to respect the complexity of human relationships. Its impact is not derived from spectacle, but from its depth, realism, and the subtle lessons embedded in every interaction. Even after watching, the audience is left contemplating trust, communication, and emotional responsibility. It becomes clear that Kissing the Wrong Brother is not just a story, but an experience, one that challenges, teaches, and resonates long after the final scene. Even after all the previous lessons, Kissing the Wrong Brother continues to resonate because of its subtle portrayal of emotional complexity and personal responsibility. The drama does not end with neat resolutions. Instead, it leaves room for introspection, encouraging the audience to consider how actions, decisions, and communication shape not only our relationships, but also our own growth. The female lead's journey serves as a masterclass in self-awareness. Her progression shows that emotional strength is cultivated internally. She learns that vulnerability is a choice and that trusting others requires discernment. By observing, reflecting, and acting with intention, she demonstrates that emotional resilience is more than reacting. It is understanding, anticipating, and navigating complexity. The male characters reinforce this theme through their own quiet transformations. One learns the weight of accountability, recognizing that his past actions will continue to influence others until he takes responsibility and changes behavior. The other discovers that timing and honesty are critical. Failing to communicate the truth can have unintended consequences. Both arcs show that personal growth is not instantaneous, but a continuous process requiring patience, reflection, and self-correction. The pacing of the drama reinforces these lessons. It allows viewers to experience the tension, hesitation, and internal conflict of each character. Every pause, glance, or subtle interaction is meaningful, inviting the audience to connect emotionally and consider the depth of real-life interpersonal dynamics. Symbolism continues to be integral. Mirrors reflect self-examination and personal duality. Rain and muted lighting symbolize reflection, change, and emotional turbulence. These elements create a visual language that communicates internal states more powerfully than words alone. Supporting characters contribute significantly to thematic richness. They act as catalysts, foils, and mirrors, highlighting how personal decisions affect others. Through these interactions, the drama demonstrates the ripple effect of emotional choices, reinforcing the idea that accountability extends beyond oneself. The story places heavy emphasis on the consequences of miscommunication. Delayed truths, unspoken concerns, and hesitation all contribute to misunderstandings that have lasting emotional impact. This serves as a reflection for the audience, encouraging mindfulness in their own communication and relationships. Even humor, carefully used, reinforces the story's realism. Moments of levity offer relief, reminding viewers that life, despite its challenges, is multifaceted and includes joy alongside struggle. These brief, lighter moments balance the tension without undermining the narrative depth. The soundtrack and sound design are minimalist but powerful. Ambient tones, natural sounds, and thoughtful silence heighten emotional resonance, allowing viewers to focus on the inner journeys of the characters. The absence of exaggerated music ensures that moments of reflection remain authentic and impactful. The drama's title, initially attention-grabbing, evolves into a metaphor for misunderstanding, human error, and the fragile nature of trust. By the conclusion, viewers recognize that the wrong brother symbolizes the complexity of relationships, the consequences of mistakes, and the importance of self-awareness. A central takeaway is the ongoing nature of personal growth. Mistakes are never fully erased, but they provide opportunities for learning, reflection, and transformation. The drama models how awareness, honesty, and deliberate action contribute to meaningful emotional evolution. Closure in the story is internal rather than external. The female lead achieves it through reflection and understanding her own emotions. The male characters achieve it through accepting responsibility and striving for integrity in their ongoing lives. This depiction underscores that real closure comes from within, not from others. The drama encourages the audience to reflect deeply on their own lives. It poses questions about trust, communication, accountability, and forgiveness without giving simplistic answers. This engagement ensures that viewers continue to think about the narrative long after it ends, creating a lasting emotional impact. Every small gesture, pause, and expression in the story carries weight. The narrative teaches that subtlety, patience, and reflection are often more powerful than dramatic action. These lessons are universally applicable, reminding viewers that emotional intelligence is built in small, deliberate moments. Ultimately, Kissing the Wrong Brother transcends being just a drama. It becomes a study of human behavior, emotional accountability, and personal transformation. It shows that growth is gradual, relationships are complex, and maturity requires time, courage, and reflection. The story leaves viewers with a lingering sense of awareness and contemplation. It subtly challenges them to consider their own emotional patterns, the importance of honesty, and the consequences of their choices. Its impact is enduring, not because of spectacle, but because it mirrors real-life experiences, relationships, and growth. Even after the credits roll, the drama continues to teach, challenge, and resonate. It is a story about mistakes, yes, but more importantly, it is a story about understanding, responsibility, and the ongoing journey toward emotional wisdom. Even beyond all that has happened, Kissing the Wrong Brother continues to resonate because it explores the ripple effect of emotional decisions. The drama reminds viewers that every choice, every hesitation, and every word carries weight far beyond the immediate moment. It teaches that emotional growth is ongoing, deliberate, and often subtle. The female lead's journey highlights the power of self-awareness. She demonstrates that emotional strength is not about grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It is about reflection, understanding, and the courage to make deliberate choices. She learns to recognize her limits, set boundaries, and approach relationships with honesty and maturity. This is a lesson the audience can carry into their own lives. Growth often comes quietly and cumulatively, not overnight. The male character's evolution mirrors this principle. One learns the importance of accountability, embracing responsibility for past actions without being consumed by guilt. The other learns the value of timing, honesty, and measured communication. Both arcs reinforce that integrity and personal responsibility are slow processes, requiring continuous effort rather than immediate perfection. The drama's pacing amplifies this realism. It allows the audience to feel hesitation, tension, and internal conflict alongside the characters. Every glance, pause, or subtle gesture is meaningful, inviting viewers to engage emotionally and consider how small actions can have major consequences in real life. Symbolism adds depth without distraction. Mirrors, rain, and muted lighting communicate internal states, emotional turbulence, and reflection. These visual cues allow viewers to understand characters' inner journeys without heavy dialogue, creating a layered and immersive storytelling experience. Supporting characters play critical roles. Friends, family, and colleagues serve as emotional mirrors, catalysts, or foils, showing how individual choices affect a broader circle. This reinforces the idea that personal accountability extends beyond oneself and impacts all relationships. Timing and communication remain central themes. Delays in honesty and hesitation to speak reveal how subtle choices can significantly alter outcomes. This serves as an important reminder to the audience that the way we communicate can have long-lasting effects, often more than our intentions alone. The drama uses humor strategically, offering brief relief while maintaining emotional gravity. These light moments emphasize resilience and remind viewers that life, even in its most challenging moments, contains warmth and levity. The minimalist soundtrack complements the narrative. Soft ambient music, natural sounds, and intentional silence give weight to emotional reflection and enhance the realism of character experiences. This deliberate sound design ensures viewers focus on character growth rather than spectacle. The title, once attention-grabbing, evolves into a metaphor for the fragility of trust, misunderstanding, and the unintended consequences of emotional missteps. By the end, it is clear that the wrong brother symbolizes human error, complexity, and moral challenge, not scandal or sensationalism. Personal growth, as shown here, is continuous. Mistakes do not vanish after resolution. They must be integrated into understanding and awareness. The drama demonstrates that growth comes from reflection, conscious choice, and learning from consequences, not from external rewards or dramatic fixes. Closure is internal and self-directed. The female lead achieves it by understanding her own emotions and taking control of her life. The male characters achieve it by accepting responsibility and committing to personal integrity, even when external reconciliation is unavailable. This portrayal emphasizes that real closure comes from within, not from others' forgiveness or validation. The drama challenges viewers to reflect on their own emotional habits. It raises questions about honesty, communication, trust, boundaries, and the long-term impact of choices. This reflective engagement ensures the story continues to resonate, leaving a lasting impression well beyond the final scenes. Every pause, glance, and subtle action carries significance. The story teaches that emotional intelligence is built in these small, deliberate moments, highlighting the importance of awareness, patience, and intentionality. Ultimately, Kissing the Wrong Brother transcends being a simple drama. It becomes a study of human behavior, accountability, emotional growth, and resilience. It demonstrates that life is rarely neat, relationships are rarely simple, and personal growth requires courage, reflection, and ongoing effort. The story leaves viewers with a quiet, lingering awareness. It challenges them to examine their own choices, value honesty, respect boundaries, and consider the consequences of their actions. Its impact is enduring because it reflects real human experiences, moral complexity, and the slow, meaningful process of personal growth. Even after the credits roll, the drama continues to teach and resonate. It is a story about mistakes, but more importantly, it is a story about understanding, accountability, and the journey towards emotional maturity. It invites the audience to reflect on their own lives, relationships, and the importance of integrity and honesty in every interaction. Even beyond all previous reflections, Kissing the Wrong Brother continues to hold deep lessons about human relationships, emotional growth, and personal responsibility. The drama demonstrates that every choice, hesitation, and conversation has consequences that extend far beyond the immediate moment. It reminds viewers that emotional maturity is a slow, deliberate process shaped by reflection, learning, and accountability. The female lead's journey continues to serve as a model for self-awareness and resilience. She learns to distinguish between fleeting emotions and meaningful connection, recognizing that trust and vulnerability must be guided by wisdom and discernment. Her growth is internal and subtle, showing that strength is often quiet, patient, and deliberate rather than loud or dramatic. This is a lesson viewers can carry into their own lives. Growth often happens incrementally through reflection, observation, and thoughtful action. The male characters reinforce these lessons through their own journeys. One brother embraces responsibility and learns to live with past mistakes without being consumed by guilt. The other understands the importance of timing, honesty, and careful communication. Together, these arcs illustrate that emotional growth is ongoing, not instantaneous, and that integrity is cultivated through deliberate effort rather than immediate results. Pacing plays a critical role in reinforcing the drama's realism. The story allows viewers to feel hesitation, tension, and internal conflict alongside the characters. Every glance, pause, and subtle gesture is meaningful, emphasizing that even small actions can carry significant emotional weight in real-life relationships. Symbolism continues to deepen the narrative. Mirrors reflect self-examination, duality, and internal conflict. Rain, muted lighting, and natural elements symbolize reflection, cleansing, and emotional transition. These cues enrich the audience's understanding of character journeys without overt exposition. Supporting characters contribute meaningfully to the story. Friends, family, and colleagues act as catalysts, mirrors, and foils, illustrating how personal choices affect a wider circle. This reinforces the theme that accountability extends beyond the self and shapes relationships, social networks, and emotional ecosystems. Timing and communication are emphasized throughout. Delays in honesty, hesitation to speak, and misjudged actions demonstrate how subtle choices can lead to significant consequences. This serves as a reminder to the audience of the real-life importance of mindful communication, awareness, and timing. Even humor, used sparingly, reinforces the story's realism. Light moments provide relief while underscoring the resilience of the human spirit. They highlight that life contains both challenge and warmth, tension and joy. The soundtrack complements the narrative with soft ambient music, natural sounds, and intentional silence enhance emotional resonance. This minimalist approach ensures that reflection and internal experience take center stage, keeping the audience focused on the depth of the characters' journeys. The title, initially provocative, evolves into a symbolic anchor for the narrative. It represents misunderstanding, human error, and the fragility of trust. By the conclusion, viewers understand that The Wrong Brother is not about scandal, but about complexity, accountability, and personal growth. A central takeaway is that personal growth is continuous. Mistakes do not disappear after resolution. They must be acknowledged, understood, and learned from. The drama models this process realistically, demonstrating that emotional maturity is a product of ongoing awareness, reflection, and deliberate action. Closure in the drama is internal rather than external. The female lead achieves it by reflecting on her emotions and taking control of her own narrative. The male characters achieve closure by accepting responsibility and committing to personal integrity. This emphasizes that real closure comes from within, not from external validation or reconciliation. The drama encourages viewers to examine their own emotional habits, choices, and communication styles. It poses thoughtful questions about honesty, trust, boundaries, accountability, and the ripple effects of decisions. This reflection ensures the story lingers in the audience's mind long after it ends, creating a lasting impact. Every small gesture, pause, and interaction carries meaning. The narrative teaches that emotional intelligence is cultivated in subtle, deliberate moments, showing that patience, awareness, and careful consideration matter more than dramatic displays. Ultimately, Kissing the Wrong Brother is not just a drama, it is a study of human behavior, moral responsibility, emotional growth, and resilience. It illustrates that life is rarely perfect, relationships are rarely simple, and true growth requires courage, reflection, and ongoing effort. The story leaves viewers with quiet awareness and contemplation. It challenges them to examine their own emotional habits, choices, and communication styles. It values honesty, respect boundaries, and recognize the consequences of their actions. Its enduring impact comes from reflecting real human experiences, moral complexity, and the slow process of personal development. Even after the credits roll, the drama continues to resonate. It is a story about mistakes, yes, but more importantly, it is a story about understanding, accountability, and the journey towards emotional maturity. It invites viewers to reflect on their own lives, relationships, and the importance of integrity, honesty, and emotional awareness in every interaction. Even after hours of reflection, Kissing the Wrong Brother continues to resonate because it explores the subtle and long-lasting effects of emotional choices. The drama demonstrates that actions, hesitation, and even silence can shape relationships, self-perception, and future decisions. It reminds viewers that emotional growth is not a single moment, but an ongoing, deliberate, and reflective process. The female lead's journey exemplifies the quiet power of self-awareness. She learns that emotional strength is cultivated internally, not through external validation or dramatic gestures. She understands the importance of boundaries, discerning between fleeting desire and meaningful connection, and acting with integrity. Her progression teaches that patience, observation, and thoughtful reflection are key components of emotional maturity. The male characters reinforce these lessons in different ways. One embraces responsibility for past mistakes, learning that accountability is an ongoing practice rather than a one-time action. The other realizes that honesty and timing are critical and that delayed truth can magnify consequences. These arcs together illustrate that emotional intelligence requires consistent effort, awareness, and self-correction. The drama's deliberate pacing emphasizes realism. Scenes linger on hesitation, internal conflict, and reflective pauses, allowing the audience to experience each character's emotional journey alongside them. Every subtle glance, pause, or gesture communicates more than words alone, teaching viewers that small actions can have profound impacts. Symbolism is woven carefully throughout the story. Mirrors represent introspection and self-examination. Rain and muted lighting signal emotional turbulence, cleansing, or transition. These visual cues add layers to the storytelling, allowing the audience to interpret internal states without overt exposition. Supporting characters play a significant role in illustrating emotional complexity. They act as catalysts, mirrors, and foils, showing how personal choices affect the wider community. Through their interactions, the story highlights the ripple effect of decisions and the importance of considering consequences beyond oneself. The drama also highlights the critical role of communication. Delayed honesty, misjudged timing, and unspoken words demonstrate how subtle choices can alter the course of relationships. The story serves as a reminder to viewers that mindfulness, clarity, and transparency are essential in maintaining healthy and respectful connections. Humor is used sparingly but effectively, offering moments of relief and emphasizing human resilience. These brief moments highlight that life contains both struggle and joy, and that growth often emerges amidst both. The soundtrack, intentionally minimalist, reinforces the emotional tone. Soft ambient music, natural sounds, and periods of silence accentuate reflection and introspection, creating an immersive experience for the audience. This ensures that attention remains on the character's internal growth rather than external spectacle. The drama's title, once seemingly provocative, becomes a lens through which viewers understand its themes. It symbolizes misunderstanding, unintended consequences, and the fragility of trust. By the conclusion, the audience recognizes that The Wrong Brother is not about scandal, but about human error, complexity, and emotional responsibility. A key takeaway is that personal growth is continuous. Mistakes do not disappear after resolution. They require acknowledgement, reflection, and deliberate learning. The story models realistic development, showing that emotional maturity emerges through ongoing self-awareness and thoughtful choices. Closure is internal and self-directed. The female lead achieves it by understanding her own emotions and asserting her boundaries. The male characters achieve closure by accepting responsibility and committing to integrity, even when external reconciliation is unavailable. This highlights that true closure comes from within, not from external forgiveness or affirmation. The drama encourages the audience to reflect on their own emotional habits and interpersonal dynamics. It asks subtle but important questions about honesty, trust, timing, forgiveness, and the long-term impact of decisions. This engagement ensures that the story leaves a lasting impression well beyond the screen time. Every small gesture, glance, and pause carries significance. The narrative shows that emotional intelligence is cultivated through consistent, deliberate moments of reflection and awareness. This teaches viewers that patience, subtlety, and thoughtfulness often have greater impact than dramatic or impulsive actions. Ultimately, Kissing the Wrong Brother transcends being just a drama. It is a study of human behavior, ethical responsibility, emotional growth, and resilience. It illustrates that life is rarely perfect, relationships are rarely straightforward, and real growth requires courage, reflection, and ongoing effort. The story leaves viewers with quiet awareness and contemplation. It challenges them to examine their own choices, value honesty, respect boundaries, and recognize the far-reaching consequences of their decisions. Its impact is enduring because it mirrors authentic human experience and the slow, layered process of personal growth. Even after the credits roll, the story continues to teach and resonate. It is about mistakes, yes, but more importantly, it's about understanding, accountability, and the lifelong journey toward emotional maturity. It invites viewers to reflect on their own lives, relationships, and the importance of honesty, integrity, and self-awareness in every interaction. Even beyond everything previously discussed, Kissing the Wrong Brother continues to reveal lessons about patience, emotional reflection, and the nuanced nature of human relationships. The drama shows that every decision, hesitation, or unspoken thought can affect not just the immediate situation, but ripple across multiple lives, influencing perception, trust, and personal growth. The female lead's journey is a lesson in inner strength and quiet resilience. She learns that vulnerability is not weakness, and that emotional clarity comes from self-reflection, experience, and mindful choices. By understanding her own boundaries, discerning meaningful connections from superficial ones, and prioritizing honesty, she models emotional intelligence that viewers can relate to and learn from. The male characters' arcs reinforce these lessons. One embraces accountability, realizing that past mistakes remain influential until addressed through deliberate action. The other learns the importance of timing, the subtle power of honesty, and the need to consider consequences before speaking or acting. Together, their journeys demonstrate that emotional growth is ongoing, deliberate, and requires patience, reflection, and conscious effort. The pacing of the drama enhances these lessons. Scenes linger on hesitation, thought, and subtle gestures, allowing viewers to experience internal conflict alongside the characters. Every glance, pause, or nonverbal interaction carries meaning, showing that small moments often have larger emotional consequences than dramatic actions. Symbolism enriches the story further. Mirrors represent self-examination and duality. Rain and muted lighting depict reflection and emotional transition, and environmental cues signal internal states. These elements deepen the narrative without distracting from character-driven storytelling. Supporting characters are essential for thematic depth. They act as mirrors, foils, and catalysts, highlighting the ripple effect of personal choices. Through their interactions, viewers see that decisions rarely exist in isolation and that emotional accountability extends beyond oneself. Communication and timing remain central themes. Delayed honesty, hesitation, and misjudged words illustrate how subtle actions can produce lasting consequences. This teaches the audience the importance of mindful communication, reflection, and intentionality in their own lives. Humor, carefully used, provides relief and underscores resilience. It reminds viewers that even in tense or emotionally heavy situations, lightness and warmth coexist, illustrating the multidimensional nature of human experience. The soundtrack and sound design are minimalist but impactful. Ambient music, natural sounds, and intentional silence create space for reflection and immersion, allowing viewers to focus on subtle emotional developments rather than external spectacle. The title, initially provocative, evolves into a metaphor for misunderstanding, emotional missteps, and the fragility of trust. By the end, viewers understand that the wrong brother signifies complexity, responsibility, and human imperfection rather than scandal. Personal growth is shown as continuous and cumulative. Mistakes and emotional missteps are not erased, but integrated into awareness, reflection, and learning. The drama models realistic emotional development, showing that maturity emerges over time through deliberate effort and self-reflection. Closure is internal rather than external. The female lead achieves it by understanding her emotions, setting boundaries, and accepting her decisions. The male characters achieve closure by acknowledging their actions, committing to integrity, and navigating consequences thoughtfully. This highlights that real closure comes from self-awareness and intentional action. The drama encourages audiences to reflect on their own choices and relationships. It raises questions about honesty, trust, timing, forgiveness, and the long-term impact of actions, leaving a lingering impression long after viewing. Every small gesture, pause, and subtle interaction carries meaning. The story emphasizes that emotional intelligence is built in these small, intentional moments, teaching viewers the value of patience, observation, and thoughtful response. Ultimately, Kissing the Wrong Brother transcends being just a drama. It is a study of human behavior, moral responsibility, emotional growth, and resilience. It portrays life realistically, messy, complex, and ongoing, and reminds viewers that personal growth is a lifelong journey, requiring courage, reflection, and continuous effort. The story leaves viewers with a sense of quiet awareness and contemplation. It challenges them to examine choices, value honesty, respect boundaries, and consider the broader consequences of actions. Its impact is enduring because it mirrors authentic human experience and demonstrates the subtle, layered process of personal development. Even after the credits roll, the drama continues to teach, resonate, and linger. It is a story about mistakes, yes, but more importantly, about understanding, accountability, and the journey toward emotional maturity. It invites viewers to reflect on their own lives, relationships, and the importance of integrity, honesty, and self-awareness in every interaction. Even beyond all the previous reflections, Kissing the Wrong Brother continues to offer profound insights into human behavior, emotional responsibility, and the subtleties of interpersonal relationships. It demonstrates that every choice, hesitation, and unspoken thought carries consequences that ripple through lives, shaping perception, trust, and personal growth. The female lead's journey remains a central lesson in emotional maturity. She learns that vulnerability is not weakness and that self-awareness is the foundation of strength. By reflecting on her feelings, setting boundaries, and making intentional choices, she demonstrates that growth is a quiet, cumulative process. Her experience teaches viewers that emotional intelligence is developed through observation, reflection, and deliberate action rather than dramatic gestures or immediate results. The male character's development reinforces this theme. One embraces accountability, accepting the lingering impact of past mistakes and committing to consistent ethical behavior. The other learns the importance of timing and honest communication, understanding that delayed truth can have lasting effects. Their combined arcs show that emotional growth is ongoing, requiring patience, reflection, and conscious self-correction. The pacing of the drama enhances these lessons. Moments of hesitation, silence, and subtle nonverbal expression allow the audience to experience the internal struggles of the characters firsthand. Every glance, pause, and slight gesture carries meaning, illustrating that small actions often have larger consequences than dramatic declarations. Symbolism continues to enrich the story. Mirrors reflect introspection and duality. Rain, muted lighting, and environmental cues signify emotional turbulence, cleansing, or transformation. These elements deepen the narrative, allowing viewers to interpret and internalize emotional states without explicit dialogue. Supporting characters provide depth and context. They act as foils, catalysts, and mirrors, showing the ripple effect of choices on relationships, families, and communities. This reinforces the idea that personal responsibility extends beyond oneself and affects the broader emotional ecosystem. The drama places significant emphasis on communication and timing. Delayed honesty, hesitations, and misjudged words demonstrate how subtle actions can lead to long-term consequences. This teaches the audience about the importance of mindfulness, careful listening, and thoughtful responses in their own interactions. Humor is used sparingly, but effectively. Brief moments of levity emphasize resilience and the multidimensional nature of human experience. These lighter moments provide balance, illustrating that growth and learning often coexist with both challenge and warmth. The soundtrack, soft and minimalist, complements the narrative. Ambient music, natural sounds, and strategic silence give emotional weight to reflection and introspection. The absence of dramatic scores ensures the audience remains immersed in the subtleties of character development rather than external spectacle. The title, initially provocative, evolves into a symbol of complexity, emotional missteps, and the fragility of trust. By the story's end, it is clear that the wrong brother signifies not scandal, but human imperfection, responsibility, and relational nuance. Personal growth, as depicted, is cumulative and continuous. Mistakes are not erased by resolution. They must be acknowledged, integrated into self-awareness, and learned from. The drama models realistic development, showing that emotional maturity emerges over time, shaped by reflection and deliberate action. Closure is internal rather than external. The female lead achieves it by understanding her emotions, asserting boundaries, and accepting her decisions. The male characters achieve closure by taking responsibility, committing to integrity, and navigating consequences thoughtfully. This highlights that real closure comes from self-awareness and intentional choices, not external validation or reconciliation. The drama invites audiences to reflect on their own emotional lives. It challenges them to examine choices, honesty, boundaries, forgiveness, and the far-reaching effects of decisions. This reflection ensures the story lingers in the audience's mind, creating an enduring emotional impact. Even the smallest gestures and moments, pauses, glances, or subtle actions carry weight. The narrative emphasizes that emotional intelligence is built in these deliberate, conscious moments, teaching viewers patience, awareness, and thoughtful response. Ultimately, Kissing the Wrong Brother transcends conventional drama. It is a study of human behavior, moral responsibility, emotional growth, and resilience. It illustrates that life is rarely neat, relationships are rarely simple, and true growth requires courage, reflection, and consistent effort. The story leaves viewers with lasting awareness and contemplation. It challenges them to examine choices, value honesty, respect boundaries, and consider the consequences of actions. Its impact is enduring because it mirrors authentic human experience and the subtle, layered process of personal development. Even after the credits roll, the drama continues to resonate. It is a story about mistakes, yes, but more importantly, about understanding, accountability, and the ongoing journey toward emotional maturity.